Hi, I'm Jake. I've been drawing Pokemon since I was 7 years old, and in today's video we're going to be designing the Pikaclone for a Greek-inspired region. Hopefully this Pikaclone is going to have a little bit of a twist, so you'll have to stick around to see that. And as always, stick around to the end of the video for a sneak peek of what's coming next week. As we're all well aware, Pikaclones have been a staple of the Pokemon franchise since Gen 1. Prior to Gen 5 they were all pure electric types, but starting in Gen 5, Game Freak introduced Pikaclones with additional typing, so I wanted to bear that in mind when making my Pikaclone for the Greek-inspired region. So I feel like I need to do a full disclosure here and say that this is not going to be the Pikaclone for the region. When I was looking at rodents that live in Greece on Wikipedia, I must have scrolled too far and got into mammals. So this electric type is based on a stone marten. Martens have long bodies and bushy tails and are really agile creatures, so I thought the electric type really fitted them well. And as you can see, I was really struggling with this design. I wanted it to have a lightning bolt tail, but then I thought, why shouldn't the whole thing just look like a lightning bolt to represent its speedy nature? I tilted the design as well because I thought that made it look more agile, and I just didn't like the head of that design, but I liked the other one I'd made, so I put that on it. And then this was the final design that I went with. I wanted to keep the colour scheme really simple, and I actually used colours that martens are in real life. Some of them do have yellow and brown fur. Then lastly, I played around with some additional markings, but I didn't really like the look of them. Meet Voltine, the Bolt Pokemon. Voltine live deep in wooded areas and only come out at night. They make their dens inside hollowed out trees that have been struck by lightning. Voltine's name comes from Volt, obviously, and Mustaline, which is the species name for martens and weasels. For Voltine's stats, I just rearranged Pikachu's stats, but made it a bit more of a physical attacker because martens are well known to have sharp, retractable claws. For Voltine's shiny, I had to really resist the urge to make it white and blue, and you'll see why later, but instead I gave it blue eyes, which I think looks really cool. Moving on to Voltine's evolution, I tried a design that kept the bolt shape, but when looking at pictures of martens online, I found that they stand up on their hind legs a lot, which I thought was a much cooler pose. I played around a lot with the fur to see if I liked it jagged or smooth, then I tried incorporating the lightning bolt into its tail, but I decided not to do that, and sometime in the future you might see why I decided that. At this point I played around with stretching the design because I wanted to really elongate that body shape. It's not often you see Pokemon with this body shape, I think. I just realised whilst I was filming the voiceover for this video that when I was a kid I made a really similar looking Fakemon, and I'll put it on screen now. I made them back in 2010, so hopefully my art style and design ideas have improved since then, but let me know if you prefer the old design, I guess. When Voltine is leveled up in a thunderstorm, it evolves into Storm Marten, the conductor Pokemon. Storm Martens stand tall on their hind legs to attract lightning strikes. When hit, they store electricity in their fur, making it bristle with static electricity. Hopefully it's obvious where its name comes from, but I also think it sounds like Storm Marten. I'm not sure if it's a commonly done thing across the world, but in England at least, when we get storms, they're always named weird names, like we've just had Storm Amy, so Storm Marten. Again, for its shiny, I had to fight every urge in my body not to make it white and blue, but this is a good balance, I think. Now I know what you're all thinking. I've done a clickbait title, there's no Pikaclone in this video, but I promise you we're onto it now. Hopefully you enjoyed Voltine and Storm Marten as much as I did making them. So for the actual electric rodent of the Greek-inspired region, I really need to think of a name for the region. Anyway, I went with a snow vole because I wanted to make an ice and electric type Fakemon. So my original idea was going to be this chubby little vole with loads of fat to keep it warm in the snow. I even tried to wrap its tail around its neck to kind of look like a scarf. I knew I wanted to do an ice and electric type because I feel like the ice type in a Greek-inspired region is going to be really hard to fit in. But when I actually researched about snow voles, I found out they were quite nimble and they hop around from rock to rock, so the fat design didn't really work. But I kept the fluff to mimic ear muffs. Then I'd read somewhere online that snow voles' tails stick straight up or something, so I thought I could incorporate a fuzzy ball on the end of its tail to look like a pom-pom from a winter hat. So by doing this, I think I've found a way to incorporate the ice type into its design, along with the colour scheme obviously, without changing too much of the animal that it's based on. I was thinking that lore-wise it would use its electric typing to power its jumps between the craggy terrain in which it lives. And with my colour palette I was being really conscious to try and not copy Pachirisu, which when I was a kid I actually thought was an electric ice type. Finally, introducing Watamomo, the snow-capped Pokemon. Watamomo live at high altitudes. Their bodies generate electricity which charges its muscles to jump from rock to rock. So its name comes from a combination of Watamo, which came up when I searched what fluff was in Japanese, and I did that because nearly all of the Pikaclones seem to have Japanese-inspired names like Dedenne, Pachirisu, Morpeko, so I thought it fit. And then Momo at the end reminds me of Pom Pom, which is the inspiration for its cheek fur and the fur at the end of its tail. And then I made it shiny a mix of autumnal colours to represent those stereotypical winter hats, you know, the ones with the ugly Aztec patterns on. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know if you'll be adding either of these two electric type Fakemon lines to your team. In the end, I do think Watamomo looks like a Pikaclone, but let me know if you do too down in the comments, or let me know if you think Voltine was robbed as Pikaclone for the region. As promised, here's a sneak peek of next week's video. So I'm going to be opening a random pack of Pokemon cards and creating forms, evolutions, etc. for the cards that I pull. So here's a quick sneak peek, and thank you for watching.